One way or another, we will find a way to make this happen.
Well, I got the restream notification that we're live. Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow. Look at it. Just, it works the first time, every time, all the time. That's what we're shooting for here. Now watch as I press the actual record button and it all goes to shit. Are we ready, fellas? Okay. 3, 2, 1, start the recording. Oh God, I think we're actually alive. Who knows, but more specifically, who cares? We found it. I think the eagle is safely soaring right above the skies. The mighty fascistic golden eagles of that basketball tournament. Or I'm sorry, the basketball tournament. My apologies there. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Sports Radio 1917, your home for sports discussion and fantasy analysis from a leftist perspective. I'm your incredibly dry mouth for no apparent reason host Kelton, and today I'm joined by my fellow sports Bolsheviks and professional broadcasters Gabe and Mitch. How's it going, fellas?
Good. How are you, man? Okay, this time I do have to ask what a professional is.
You see,
it's a professional, like the pro.
Yeah,
come on, bro.
Like the proletariat, you know.
First off, come on, bruh. Like, why do we have to?
Like, I'm just trying to figure out what name I'm getting attached to.
Why must we make these two bad bitch classes fight each other? Huh? I believe that was a Trotsky quote at some point. I'm not exactly sure, but
that's very, very accurate.
Yeah, I'm trying out this whole, embracing the live format, being a little bit more loosey-goosey with it. And so that means that our broadcast is going to start anywhere between 7:55 and like 8:05. And that's that solid window that I think we can expect people to definitely not be tuning in for, I suppose.
Yeah, and when they start tuning in, the piggies will slop it up.
That's right.
When we dole it out.
That's right. That is
whether
right.
They're salivating or just ready for it. That's going to be the real test.
Oh, they're ready for it. I didn't directly copy Gabe's awesome camera just so that way then they couldn't be ready for it, and
of course the day that you get an awesome camera, I literally am potato quality in it with no equipment whatsoever.
It's
just
fine.
The sweet
another week for me.
Brought to you. Well, Mitch, that's why you're the professional,
the working class man
here.
That's right.
The working class man here. The rest of us, we're the ones who write the theory.
Y'all are the proletariats.
Yeah, of course. The vanguard, if you will, that outnumbers somehow the proletariat. I'm not sure how these logistics work, but what we need to do is set up the rewards in fantasy league about where like first place person like gets a new mic instead of whatever the cash version is, just to see if we can rope some fucking podcasters into this. Man,
there we go. New microphone. I'll do some art or whatever, because apparently that's the thing I can do now.
You're stumbling ass backwards into just being, I guess this is like my calling or whatever, I'm not sure.
Welcome to being a Slav, man. Like we won't go through life with any sort of like sense of direction. I mean, look at all the Slavs that play in the NBA, man. They're all fat. You smoke a pack a day.
They're coming down with COVID.
Players.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like the bottom line is, all these, and then there's all these other guys out there who are they're working hard every single day. And then, over here, some guy with a last name like Kukoc or Jovovich, and he's just smoking a pack a day, doing all kinds of cocaine and, throwing tons of money at strippers.
I think the most Slavic thing that ever happened was the recent tennis tournament that happened. where they had like 18 people come in from all across the globe, and they were like, "Yeah, fuck it, we don't care about masks. We're not going to even bother with any sort of social distancing." And then now 2 of the top 100 tennis players have COVID and aren't able to contribute in any way. Oh God. It's amazing. It's amazing because it's the one sport like where you're always going to stay basically like 6 feet from each other.
Yeah,
but then you're literally hitting a ball.
There's videos of them getting drunk and dancing with their shirts off with each other. So it wasn't because they were playing tennis; they were partying.
Well,
so
I don't know about that. I mean, to be fair, even if they kept their social distance, they cough into their hands, they touch their face, then they grab this little ball that they then skyrocket over to the other team or the other player, covered with COVID germs.
That's true.
And then
I do want to see like the chemtrail style tracers of COVID material going, launching at 85 miles an hour. But
it's going to be way worse with like base or football and basketball, where they literally share one ball for the entire game.
Well, okay, I mean, they have like 8 balls, don't they? Like,
well, no, we're going to do 11 balls.
Football, there's not one ball. There's not one ball.
No, it's going to be 11 balls all at one time. So really, in that case, 88 balls based off of the normal thing. And then, there'll be one specifically colored ball that will be the one that you have to get into the end zone with. But so only one person at a time can touch it.
We're starting to get into like real like XFL territory, but where like each team is going to be assigned 5 footballs each, and for each interception they get to hold on to that ball, and then if you run out of balls, the game is over. So you can't have.
That's exactly what it needs to be.
Oh God. You know that they would never actually do that for the TV rights. Like they'd be like, "Oh, what? Oh, no. We just play through." Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I have to get that sponsorship money some way or another. All right. So what is the main things that we're going to be talking about? The answer is the thing that people have been clamoring for, the thing that we have actively been dreading. As I scrape my nose and hold it together instinctively, just thinking about it. We're talking about baseball. That's going to be our main story. We're going to be doing a deep dive into it. Baseball is going to be coming back as of July 1st. Gabe has actively walked away, leaving a torched cop car saying "fuck the police" on it in his wake. Honestly, just a real power move. I think we can respect that. But before we do that, so maybe Gabe left a little too early, we wanted to touch on the 2 recurring segments.
Fine, I'm back.
That's right, motherfucker. The 2 recurring segments that we always are talking about, and that is going to be the KT Wiz and the Sydney Roosters. So what do we want to start with here? Baseball or rugby? Specifically, Korean baseball organization or rugby?
I guess we'll go with the rugby first,
Yeah.
The good news.
Fine.
Well, the Sydney Roosters rose up to being 4th place overall in their ladder after they took on the Parramatta Eels, who are the number 1 team in the league overall, and the Roosters carved their way to a 24-10 victory and actually managed to achieve a 4-2 record overall on the season. So that is a pretty big, at least, upset in my mind. Now, Mitch, as he casually explained how I don't know how to read actual betting lines last week, as it exists, that was not a surprise at all to the bettors. They were going hard for the Roosters.
Oh, really?
And so I really wish I could say I was carrying through like some like amazing rugby streak, but where I'm an idiot savant when it comes to this thing. But needless to say, the team that we have chosen as being our representatives has continued on their streak. Additionally, I found out that they have an international merchandise package where you get like a scarf, a couple of like lanyards, and some stickers for like $70, aka absolute price gouging according to normal standards. But in the world of sports, it's actually considered kind of a bargain. And so that might be something, if they keep building up steam, that we have to buy, so that way then we have something there. Or, we can commission our artiste himself to do his own version of bootleg. Oh no, I can't hear him. Can you, Mitch?
No, I can't hear him either.
Oh no, I am all about making bootleg stuff, as you can tell from the background I have on this screen.
So I just
bootleg White Claw merchandise. Get it while you can.
How are the Roosters going to feel if some podcasters from America are bootlegging their logo and their merch? Like,
how will they feel? They will feel seen. That is how they will feel.
Exactly, they will feel seen. And American podcasters, I guarantee you, our audience is big. Our audience in America is bigger than the Sydney Roosters audience in America.
I mean that's almost undoubtedly true. I think there are dozens of us. You hear me? Actual dozens. It is surprising to me that there's not more crossover, because like all of the Sydney Roosters guys, you could basically say are either halfbacks or linebackers. All of them. Okay. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if I were to see those guys walking next to either halfbacks or linebackers in the NFL, and that they would look kind of similar or the same. I mean,
I believe that.
Well, I mean, that's rugby. So for those who are listening at home and have no idea what rugby is or looks like, so you basically have two main positions. You have your forwards and you have your backs. So that's your halfbacks and your linebackers. That's and they literally do exactly what they're supposed to do. Forwards only move forward, as my coach told me. He's like, don't get fancy, don't step to the side, just run into people going in a straight line.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so I just wouldn't be surprised. I know a couple of years ago there was a rugby player who was trying to break through in the NFL. I think he played on like the 49ers or something.
Yeah, that sounds right. He's a running back.
Yeah, aka just a special teamer. RIP. And so I think that the next guy that will have to become right there part of our lore of who we're going to back, that and of course Justin Jackson of the LA Chargers, just because we have to stay in a woke socialist game. So moving forward though into next week, or specifically tomorrow, or depending on when you're listening to this, earlier today / yesterday, they're taking on the 12th place St. George Dragons again. The last time they met in April, the Roosters won 20-10. So this is a real potential trap game. I'm not sure how rugby trap games work exactly, but because I believe they are meeting again, Vegas is now doing first halves only for what their over-under is. So I
Vegas is getting slightly wise. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah, they are deciding just completely to go with this initial score projection at the half of the Roosters being up 14-6, and now I really see this as a trap game. So I personally would actually pound the under overall. That's what I would be trying to suggest. Is I'm not seeing it going super duper well for the Roosters, because you just beat the number one team. And if it's anything like American sports, it's always the losers that then keep it close.
Yeah, they partied too hard after the big win.
Yeah,
so they're not going to be ready for it. It's only natural in any sport.
What does it look like, by the way, when an Australian parties too hard? Like, how many, what's a unit of measurement there? It. Yeah. I mean, they use liters, but what's the term bigger than liters? Like mega liters instead of million? It's just
it's how many liters they're able to pump out of your stomach. That's the real thing. If you exceed 3 or 4, then we're saying like you had an easy night. If you're getting over into that double digit range, then you may have gone a little too hard.
You have what is called a problem. The problem, of course, is you aren't applying yourself. Yeah. So that's kind of our little update into the wide world of our friends, not across the pond, but what's the other term? The other
across
pond.
a lake.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would say
Across the flooded street, old man McGilly's backyard.
I mean, it's far more of a lake than a pond. If you know, I mean, one might even call it an ocean.
It doesn't matter. We're all colonizers here.
But bottom line, I don't exactly. I don't know what they use down there. They're upside down anyway, right? So
yeah, that's what they are. They're our neighbors from down there.
Maybe that's why actually rugby players can't cross over to the NFL. They're not used to the way like our gravity works up here on top. They're wondering what the fuck is happening. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, moving into the world of baseball. Hold on real quick. Don't go just yet, Gabe.
All right, this is
the KBO of Korean baseball. Our buddies, the KT Wiz, the people I have behind me here. They coasted this week, going 3-3, kind of spinning their wheels, having a 19-25 record for the season overall. I mean, kind of hell yeah. On the other hand, they're one of like the three teams in their league that has a losing record. Everyone else is above 500.
But Kelton, you can't judge them based on American standards, like games won and runs against. These are, that's a colonizer mindset. That is what you've got going on right now.
Well, I actually think they probably would have been doing better if they actually were scored less on wins and more on run differential, because they ended their week on a high note with a 19-6 victory over the number 1 ranked NC Dinos. So
they are doing great. Exactly. When you look at the run differential, it is great. I realize this is directly contradicting what I may have just said less than a minute ago.
But to hold something against me from the past is itself a Western mindset and philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. What is the past, man? What is the past? What is the future? Time exists in this moment. It's not a flat circle. It's a moment in time. It
is truly, I think, something to behold in some way, shape, or form. Who knows? Now, This is, I think, odd for us. We have to kind of relish in this moment. I think this will probably be the first and last time that the two foreign league teams that we are following both beat the number 1 teams in their leagues on the same day.
On the same day
in the same recording. So,
Wow.
I think we might have something here. And just watch it all crash and burn from this point forward, because I know that's inevitably what I'm having to expect.
I mean, with the KT Wiz, it seems like it's already happened.
Yeah, well, the pitching didn't come through. Just wrong place, wrong time, injuries. Oh God! Oh, don't force me to come up with actual baseball answers for something. Okay. It's
kind of unfair. I want to say, Mitch, that is a low blow. I can't believe you would do such a thing. It's such a colonizing mindset, needing to get explanations for why things happen. Things just happen, man.
I didn't ask for an explanation. I was
I think you did.
Making a statement more.
Don't judge me for what I'm doing. All I'm doing is looking at the statistics of the Korea Baseball Organization, also as it's known, the bento box score. Okay, it's what makes sense.
Hey, I mean, run differential is a big thing. You can have a good team
still
with a
with
bad
me,
record.
Gabe?
Yes, I'm the bento box score. All right, let's pack it up, ladies and gentlemen. We're done.
All right, so moving into the dreaded actual topic here. Of what we're going to be discussing, the main story, the main event. American baseball is coming back for quote unquote spring training July 1st. It's going to have 60 games taking place in it, some way, somehow, some shape, some form. 40 games are going to be taking place against divisional opponents. 20 games are going to be against the mirror conferences division. So like AL West and NL West, because I mean, I guess that makes more sense than doing like 5 games against each of the other conference.
Sure.
Suppose like
just make it easy. Just try and get through it,
Yeah, it's all as we're struggling to try and get to the playoffs here because
recoup as much money as possible so everyone can go home.
Yeah, all of the players are going to get prorated salaries, which sucks because they're just being paid for basically a third of their year, and this is on top then of a whole bunch of new rules taking place. So we might actually witness some of the most exciting baseball that actually has some of the most meaningful games in a year that is probably going to be one of the worst for the actual players from a financial perspective for them, which is brutal, I think, to say the least, because there are some new rules taking place, like the idea of a universal designated hitter, and then in extra innings, the runner is going to be automatically placed on second. So it's not quite sudden death baseball, but it really makes it interesting.
Close. Yeah.
I mean, I do wonder if you can get the runner on second out. That will become a strategy.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And then if that counts, that could be just a free out. And we'll see.
But I mean, it would just be like a pickoff.
Yeah.
And it's not like pickoffs happen a ton, and unless someone's actively trying to steal, that's the most likely.
Yeah, I mean, and
and if you're being aggressive and you have a runner on second already with no outs starting the inning, good situation to kind of steal it. So. We'll see, Kelton. You might be onto something here.
We could see next year. They're just okay. So no runner on second, but now all extra innings, just 2 outs. Okay, fine. Fuck it. We heard you. Not even gonna bother with this.
I mean, they should also reduce the number of fielders. Like you get into extra innings, it's like you get to choose 5 fielders. And then boom, you get your runner on second, 5 fielders. You're gonna put them in the outfield. You're gonna put them in the infield. Hope for the best.
Yeah, every extra inning, it oscillates between you lose a player on the field and you lose an automatic out. So that way, then, the number slowly dwindles down, and then it's sudden death with 3 people on the field, and you're trying to make the most of it.
So you get to the 4th extra inning. You get bases loaded, 1 fielder, and you go for it.
That sounds like fucking mobile game baseball is what that sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it is. I play mobile game baseball. I don't give 2 shits about the MLB.
It's just carnival rules the entire time.
Exactly.
No explainable reason. I am curious to see, though, in a 60-game season, what exactly it's going to take to make a team be considered playoff worthy, in the sense that teams that are hovering around 500, maybe, probably 10 games over or so, will be the type that usually make it into the playoffs. And so it's not infeasible to assume that a 33-win team could make the playoffs in the MLB. And if that's the case, you could just be on a solid rhythm for the beginning of the season, and then you're almost guaranteed a playoff spot.
So, yes, I agree with this notion that, a team that wouldn't necessarily be good enough to make the playoffs could potentially make the playoffs because of a shorter season. Because if you look at last year's season, 60 games through, a 33-win team was the second wild card in both divisions.
Okay.
But you also have to think of, in a regular major league season, they're used to the marathon mentality. They're used to playing all these games and having to reserve players and give days off and the pitcher rotation and yada, 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 yada. But with 60 games, it's like, all right, is every pitcher going to pitch on a short rest period? Because if that's the case, then you're going to see guys that are used to pitching every 5 days pitch every 4 days, and that's going to change what a team's record would look like 60 games to the season.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at the standings right now. The best team. Oh boy. Wow. I mean, it's not a whole lot of surprises. The Dodgers, the Brewers, the Phillies, over in the in the NL and the AL. Yankees, Astros, but then the Twins were 40-20 last year. I didn't remember them getting off to that hot of a start.
They had like one of the best offenses in the league, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm just surprising. I thought that they kind of build to that, but I might just at the end there. That's a pretty nice chunk of what they got going on. So I mean, I guess it's not as insane or too much hyperbole to be said that, oh, this isn't a large enough sample size.
But you said like the Phillies were in that picture, right?
Yeah.
Because they ended up missing the playoffs.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's...
and so did the Rangers, who were the second wild card for.
I mean, like I say this as a Houston Astros fan. If that means that, oh no, the Washington Nationals aren't going to be able to make the playoffs, I'm okay with that. As they're sitting there at 27-33, little motherfuckers. So,
but.
It's
that's
fine.
Because you're mad because y'all cheated and still lost. So
I mean, so did the Red Sox. Okay, no one here is mentioning the Red Sox in all of this, and I think that needs to be stated. That the only reason that Houston is getting off scot-free is because they have their finger on some sort of dead man switch for the entire MLB, but where they say if they get a serious penalty, which they do deserve, they will then expose all of the other secrets that every MLB team has.
Absolutely.
And so
that's why we haven't heard anything of it since.
They're like, well, yeah, haha, those cheaters, haha. Don't make them too mad though. No, let's not. Minimum of like, I don't know, getting beaned one time per team, I think, as you face them. And then that's it.
Did you see that MyBookie put out odds on the first Houston player to get hit?
Oh, I didn't, but I'm sure it's going to be Altuve.
It's whoever leads off. Like the first game, whoever's leading off. I don't think they're going to save it for Altuve.
Really?
No,
wow.
Not the first one.
I would do that because he's the one that has like the rumor of wearing the wire
and buzzer and all that shit.
Like, imagine if it's some like guy like the catcher that they signed, for example. They have him
be... Your catcher is not going to be your leadoff hitter. Usually, the leadoff hitter.
If you know he's about to get beamed in the face, he might be your leadoff hitter just for that time around. His whole goal, like the reason they got him, is because his eye sockets are strong enough to withstand a baseball being thrown at it at 90 miles an hour. They stress tested it in practice several times. So.
Oh, wow. This is quite the face.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that they went to extraordinary lengths to try and get some sort of competitive edge on it. So we'll see. Yeah, God, these Astros. It's
having a guy that just gets hit in the face of the baseball sounds a little more extreme than like cheating in a more normal way of stealing signs.
More normal way of doing trash can Morse code, like some weird like hobo village. Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense to me. I think that is bizarre. It is though going to be, I think, a bizarre season. Because did you see that story that there are possibly emergency teams of free agents that could be listed and registered?
I didn't see that until you told me about it.
Yeah. Basically, they're going to make 2 teams worth of unsigned players, and they would serve as like the emergency pool and be all living in a bubble together and be making like $400 a week or so, which is an insanely small amount of money.
$400?
Yeah, and
that's it.
You just kind of get self-quarantined into a hotel in Nashville.
I guess that they don't have their farm systems.
Yeah, I mean, it really is their minor leaguers.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge change. I didn't even think about that because there are players that get called up from the minor leagues every once in a while and like change the entire. If you're calling up your players early on in the season, you're probably screwed. But every once in a while, there's that one Ken Griffey Jr.
There's that one moment, that one COVID immune player. I think that's going to be a legitimate skill set. I think with some of these guys of being like, well, I mean, he may not be the best pitcher, but he's had COVID and he was asymptomatic. So I mean, I guess that makes him our new designated ball to the face boy, or whatever position we want to call him.
When people talk about the college football season and if it's ever going to happen, they're saying, well, I would just get my whole team sick now and get it over with because come national championship time, I can't risk having five guys out with COVID. So,
and that is like an absolutely insane mentality. No one should think anything else otherwise, but that is absolutely in line with how college football coaches think. No one should be surprised by the fact that anyone is saying this as a possibility.
The mayor of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, is saying that they are set to lose over $1 billion if the college football season doesn't happen.
To be fair, they're also set to lose over $1 billion if Alabama doesn't win the championship. Like they bet so hard on themselves. I think the whole state takes in whatever slush fund that was supposed to go to teachers, and they bet it all in Vegas on Alabama. It's ridiculous. Yeah,
might as well.
It's probably a better bet than hoping your Alabama students are able to get
whatever.
Not going to perpetuate negative Southern stereotypes.
Even though I do think they are one of the lowest educated states.
That's right. And it's not among, believe it or not, the minority communities that exist and are many in Alabama. No, it is the fucking trailer park wannabe fake bayou inbred white people that may or may not supposedly exist in that state.
I mean, that's what I think of when I think of Alabama anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel weird making fun of Alabama because I'm either going to get replies a little bit too fast because they have that extra finger on their hands, or a little bit too slow, and that's because they're missing an eye. So I'm not sure which way it's going to pan out. So moving on to less controversial possibilities and stuff that I definitely know, and I'm not going to be relying on this bizarre list made by someone whose name I don't really recognize here. The MLB announced their power rankings for all of the teams, and this is their week 1 power rankings. And so it's I never really understand this because it's not even necessarily who they're betting on to win. It's who they're saying is the best right now, which is bizarre.
Which is how power rankings work.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like maybe someone should make here's a final standings prediction for the MLB. Instead of just saying who are your playoff predictions?
Yeah, power rankings and before the season start really doesn't make sense. Your first power ranking shouldn't come out until the first week of games are done.
God, that infamous NCAA one. What was it? I think in 2009, where the Trojans were ranked number 1 overall going in to week 1. Then by the time they finished the season, they weren't even in the top 25. It hurts me so good.
That was college football BCS, but before BCS rankings didn't start until a certain point in the season. So
they still don't.
Really, a coach's poll.
Yeah. How could
rankings,
the mighty mind of Condoleezza Rice being one of the judges for a while? God, I love
she
this
was on
system.
The college football committee.
That's
when
right.
It first started. Yeah.
Able to really push forward here. So the listing is very interesting to me. And we'll just kind of go through it, I think, in groups overall. And then discuss maybe any highlight points that we want from it. I think in the top tier you have the Yankees and Dodgers at 1 and 2 respectively, and that should come as no surprise to anyone because I think
the easiest no-brainer of the day.
I mean, they were kind of more or less they're the spot on favorites to win their respective leagues, and so then to face off.
I mean, they're both paying all this money.
Yeah, if they can't get it together for 60 games in crunch time, this is going to be an indictment, I think, on this. Now, weirdly, the Oakland A's are ranked number 3 overall in this power ranking pool, and that is in direct contrast with their odds to win the World Series, which is at plus 2,500. which is absolutely insane. To give you a frame of reference, that is on the same level as the Chicago White Sox and the Cincinnati Reds, which are ranked much, much further down. And so I just think that this is a bizarre phenomenon. I don't know why, but I do think, and I wish Gabe was here in this moment so he could revel in it with us. The one note that they gave is that they are saying that the A's have the pitching to carry through with this. He's back.
Ooh.
He's back.
You heard his name.
I am always here to talk about the pitching, and let me tell you, it is the one thing that I know about baseball is that if you want to win it all, you got to have great pitching.
I like it. It's kind of like Beetlejuice rules, where if we say pitching 3 times, Gabe shows up to offer platitudes. It works out pretty well.
Apologies to our fans. I'm under a work deadline, so I'm popping in and out.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate this. Real boots on the ground, keys on the fingers on the keyboard type situation. So the next group of people that we got here popping up would be the Tampa Bay Rays, the Minnesota Twins, and the Houston Astros, who all kind of are, and I guess the Atlanta Braves. They all are in this tier, it seems like, of saying, well, they were good last year, so they should be good this year. Like, it stands to reason.
Yeah,
and,
especially the Braves. The Braves kind of like showed that they were pretty dominant by the end of the season. So it's interesting seeing Houston and the Braves behind the Rays and the Twins. But, like you said, power rankings, whatever that means.
Yeah, I cannot wait because this will be the one sport that we had to check in on, that we get to follow through and figure out what the standings are week by week with some of these teams. Being like, well, who was the biggest winner this week? And who was the biggest loser this week? What fun prop bet are we going to go towards? Blah, 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 blah.
An interesting side note is from last week to this week, the Rays moved up 15 spots.
Yeah. I think it's entirely just because someone was like, oh, yeah, the Rays, they're top heavy in some way. I'm not sure exactly
what. They have really good starting pitching every year.
God damn it, again with the pitching. Oh, no, don't say it. Don't say it a third time.
But see, here's the interesting thing with the Rays pitching is a lot of it has to do with their farm system. Yeah. They always have some farm system guy that comes up out of nowhere and just like wins 10 to 13 games for them every year. So.
But they rarely have the pitching to make it is the problem.
Oh yes. I love it. That other platitude of like, now we know they have the pitching to be competitive, but do they have the pitching that it takes to bring home a championship?
So I would argue that when it comes to being the championship caliber team, the Rays' problem is their bats. They only have a few guys that produce on offense.
Sure. That's fine. But, if you had pitching that can overcome your inability to hit runs.
Look, you're getting
the bottom line is how do you win a baseball game? Tell me this. How do you win a baseball game?
You're getting to the greatest point in baseball history.
No. So answer the goddamn question, Mitch. How do you win a baseball game?
You score the most runs.
Simplest form. You score runs, right?
Right.
And you keep the other team from scoring. Pitching keeps the other team from scoring.
Look, the game. Don't you want to hear one of the greatest baseball sayings of all time?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Good hitting will beat good pitching every single time, and good pitching will beat good hitting every single time.
You can't.
Wow.
Yeah. What are you going to say to that?
That is some Frederick Engels type shit. Like we've got our thesis and antithesis. Now what's the synthesis? And let me tell you what the synthesis is. You got to have the pitching to make it this year.
I think you're absolutely right. Actually, I think that is what a lot of baseball analytics departments are basing this off of, is how good is the 5-man rotation. Or how good is a team able, if the team's going to use their bullpen every single night, how good is that bullpen?
Yeah, I forget what the name of that strategy is, but I mean, of where you might actually have to double down on the fact of every pitcher just kind of playing, 1.5 or 2 innings a game, and that you
Right.
you just adopt that. And so,
I mean, it's not a strategy in baseball right now because it's impossible in a 162 game season. Like their arms are literally just going to give out on them.
Yeah, which is always fun to think about them playing 60 games in 66 days.
Right.
So,
exactly. Yeah. How a team, if you rely on a guy heavy come playoff time, what is he going to have left in the tank? This is a sprint. This is not the marathon.
You have to have a balance of the bats, if you will. So, in the next tier of the established names franchise, if you will, we have the Cubs, the Nationals, the Cardinals, the Reds, the Mets, and the Angels. I think the Cubs, they got rid of their general manager, and so I have yet to formulate an opinion on the importance of a manager in baseball. But don't worry, I'll get to that at this point. And so we'll see what happens. I think the Nationals, as much shit as I like to give them, they are the classic example of no one respecting the reigning champs. I think of going oh well, they were very fluky. There's no way that then they could keep it up.
Right. They just went on run after run after run after run. The baseball magic,
And the obvious counterpoint is, okay, well, how good were the Nationals the last 60 games in which they played? And then you take that as, a more accurate sample size than the first 60 games that they played from the year before. It's going to be interesting to me.
It's going to be, I think the biggest thing is I feel like you kind of have to get through somewhere between, I'm going to say that somewhere between 2/4 and 3/4 of the season before they really start clicking usually.
Yeah.
But with 60 games, you cannot wait that long.
I mean,
the first couple
it's going to be a lot
of
hedging bets. Yeah, I think so. Where he may not be a guy who has as much ceiling, but you can rely on his production to be much more consistent and be less mercurial. And so,
and then can they put that something extra on it going into the playoffs?
Yeah, we'll see. And then the bottom half is going to be interesting. I think I'm not really going to want to spend too much time in it because we have a very fun little project, a fun little game that I wanted us to work on and try and work through here. And so I wanted to figure out from everyone, more specifically just from the fellas here, of if we were to take these power rankings, however objective they are, and then we were to put them into a 30-team single elimination, similar to what Gabe and I did of with the basketball teams. Only what we do is that instead we decide to focus on the fact that, for lack of a better word, that would be kind of boring to go through. So we are instead going to be doing is just trying to fill it out according to Mascot. And so we are going to form a MLB Mascot Deathmatch. And who would win head to head in a death match? And we're going to go through the mascots here. So Gabe might pitch in if we're tied up, but I just want to figure out where we're standing here. Are you familiar, by the way, with MLB Mascots, Mitch?
Well, see, here's the deal. The MLB, only certain teams kind of send their mascot out anymore.
That's right.
I don't watch a whole lot of the MLB, but I watch enough to know that I have not seen a lot of these teams' mascot on TV, ever.
Yeah, I mean, they also are kind of dog shit. So
yeah, and I've been to enough Ranger games where I didn't even know the Rangers had an actual mascot. So
oh yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of, do you want to go ahead and start with the Rangers right now, out of curiosity?
I mean, I'm going to give it to the Indians
Oh, okay. Well, here we have to speak on the matchups here as we're going through. So we have the Texas Rangers versus the Cleveland Indians. The Rangers mascot is Captain, the horse, versus the Indians mascot, who is Slider, which is I don't know what the term is.
Look, it may not be PC, but that's why I'm giving it to Chief Wahoo out of respect.
Oh no!
Because, like, he just deserves like this automatic buy around. Like, you know, he is one of the most iconic mascots in baseball, whether for good or bad reasons.
That's right.
He's there and deserves recognition and, you know, props.
I see. Well, then in the next matchup, I mean, I agree with you on that. So I think in the next matchup, we have Stomper, who is the mascot for the Oakland Athletics, going up against the Orioles, who just have an Oriole bird. So who do you think would win in a death match?
Look, so the Orioles don't have anything else going for them. So I'm going to give them...
You believe in an underdog story. I'm sorry. An elephant is going to stomp the shit out of that poor little bird. It's going to wrap its trunk around.
It's an athletic elephant stomper.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love a good elephant mascot, but when have you ever seen an elephant associated with the Athletics? Like,
I mean, I'm just going by what the actual mascots are here. Okay, we have an anthropomorphic elephant. And I'm only going to assume he's all coked up and ready to like go storm Rome again, like his ancestors.
Okay, that's fair. That's really fair. I'm just actually kind of wondering if whoever put this bracket together made up some of these mascots.
I wish I could. I mean, if I were to tell you that the Reds mascot was a mascot named Mr. Redlegs, would you believe me? Because that's the truth. That's who it is. And Mr. Redlegs is facing against the Blue Jays mascot Ace, who is just a bird named Ace. So
But see, like, that's another thing with these bird teams. They actually use the bird mascot.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not one-sided. Okay, you know, like, Mr. Redlegs is a anthropomorphic baseball, and he wields like a bat. Like, he looks like he's some sort of enforcer for the most adorable little gang that believes in broken kneecaps.
See, that kind of reminds me of the Thum Tums from Spy Kids.
Okay, well, you know, are you? Is that who you're going with, or are you gonna let you know go with your bird team?
I'll give you the Stomper if I can have the Blue Jay.
Fine. You win this round, sir. Now the Astros mascot Orbit is going up against Mariners mascot, which is a moose for some reason. Because
I don't even think there are moose in Washington. I mean, there probably are, but I feel like I've spent enough time in Washington that if there was words of moose, like there are in Alaska,
possibly a
Canada,
caribou.
The more likely a caribou. It seems like, anyways.
So, but death match here. You got a moose versus a possibly omniscient alien creature.
I mean, as much as I want to hate on the Astros, I actually know who Orbit is.
That's
by
right.
Some chance.
Orbit is going to Dr. Manhattan that moose, just rip it apart on an atomic level behind those cold, dead, giant, oversized eyes. So now, in a possible problematic mascot, the Atlanta Braves, their mascot, no joke, is called Blooper. And he is a Philly fanatic / Cleveland Indian slider love child hybrid looking thing.
Look,
and he's going up against Billy the Marlin, who is just like something straight from the 90s, like gold chains, backwards hat, sunglasses, and is a nightclub DJ kind of look.
But here's the deal. Any team that uses the tomahawk chop chant should be called the Bloopers. So, by default, it should automatically be disqualified because they're not nearly as respectable as Chief Wahoo.
Yeah, just call them the Bleepers, you know?
Yeah,
something.
Exactly.
There we go.
So I will take the 90s DJ
Hell yeah.
the blooper.
Billy the Marlin is about to do a whole bunch of Quaaludes and ecstasy and start
exactly.
figuring out
way more relatable of a character.
He's in Miami, man. Like, what else is he supposed to do at his mascot party?
Yeah, he's getting high and DJing. I mean, that's what you do in Miami. So
then we have now Mitch, the San Francisco Giants, their mascot. What is their mascot? Do you know off the top of your head?
I mean, is it Lou Gehrig's disease?
It is a Lou. It is Lou Seal, which is a seal of some
someone's
kind.
great grandma.
Yeah. I mean that's what it is. It's a seal with an old lady name, and I understand that, like, in March of the Penguins, seals are supposed to be terrifying, but the Cardinals, their mascot, and also the matchup for this particular round that they find themselves in, is a mascot called Fred Bird. Now, are you familiar with what Fred Bird is?
I mean, no, but I know that the Cardinals use a bird.
That's right. I mean, like, of course they're going to here. Fred Bird is a cardinal, okay? All red. All right, all red, except for the face, which is black.
Okay. Wow.
Big wide-eyed
predicament.
Yellow beak.
So,
and I cannot emphasize enough, it is just the face, okay? The bill and the back of the head is all red. It's very clearly a cardinal.
Okay. So I was just sitting here thinking about how boring Lou Seal was and like how much I didn't care about someone's great grandma. And then I heard my other option is a racist bird.
Well, I mean, but in the death match, do you think the races could pull it out over the grandma seal? That's the question,
Well, see, I mean, if anyone's going to fight a racist off, it's going to be grandma.
That's right. I mean, or be a racist. It's
exactly. She's either going to be a racist or fight the racist. There's no real in between there.
I like my chances here. Okay, so final matchup on this side of the bracket here. We have Southpaw, which is the mascot for the White Sox, versus the Swingin' Friar, who is the mascot for the Padres. So I'm not sure what's so cool about Southpaw, just being like, he
boxes left-handed.
Yeah, and he also is a giant, like, fuzzy monster looking thing.
Okay.
What's the deal here? Like, why not embrace, like, the full furry community if you're going to be having these things? Why do you have to make it look?
Might as well just let furries be the mascots. And
I mean, honestly, they would have better mascot ideas than, like, okay, what if an alligator had fur? Yeah, that's the stuff.
I mean, and that's the thing is, they obviously, baseball does not like go stick their mascot out in the crowd like you'll see at a basketball game or other sporting events. Like, they
send that mascot like straight to the cancer ward. Like that's the job.
And only the cancer ward, apparently, because I've just never even heard of 90% of these mascots.
What, the blackface bird? Really we're keyed in on that reality. Oh.
I feel like I know some Cardinal fans that if they were aware who Fred the Bird was, they wouldn't be Cardinals fans anymore. Like, what I'm saying? Like,
we don't need to look into why exactly Grandpa, even though he was born in the let's just assume Louisville, kept on saying that they're his team and kept chuckling every time they did well. So
it all made so much more sense now.
Now I'm not especially a religious man, but a like happy-go-lucky friar versus an alien alligator. I
actually agree with you there.
Yeah, like I have to go
with the friar.
Yeah, it just seems like maybe he would pull it out like some sort of weird biblical Hadouken kind of
there's
move.
Just something about the word friar that makes me think that he's like one of those drunk religious people.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The friar you can find in the back of the paddy wagon. So like way more relatable for me.
It's true. Okay, now moving to the other side of the bracket here, the Arizona Diamondbacks, their mascot is what would you assume? What animal would the Arizona Diamondbacks have?
It would be a snake, right?
No, it's D. Baxter, the bobcat. You
the
idiot.
bobcat. And his name is Baxter.
D. Baxter.
Yeah, D. Baxter.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound like someone's shitty 9-year-old made up that mascot name.
No, not at all.
They had to double down.
And as somebody who was a Arizona Diamondbacks fan when I lived in Phoenix, everybody agrees with you.
Well, thank you.
There is not a single person who, when we're sitting there drunk in the stands and this bobcat comes out, we're like, the fuck is that, man?
But the bobcat actually comes out.
Oh, the bobcat does. I mean, they did the last time I went to a D-backs game like 6 years ago.
But I've been to Rangers games for like the past 15 years, and I've never seen cat.
Oh yeah, no, the bobcat comes out, and I can say for myself and at least all of my friends, the first time we saw it, we were like, "Why isn't it a snake?"
Yeah, why would it be a snake?
Well, I mean, if it's in the constellation,
a fucking anthropomorphic snake.
You could. Many teams have. I mean, like it's not actually that hard to do, but surprisingly, people keep finding ways to fail. Now in this matchup,
just turn the bobcat head upside down and move the eyes around a little bit, and then boom, you catch yourself a snake.
It's hard to disagree with you there.
It really is. It's just so damn persuasive. Now, but D. Baxter in this round is going up against Wally the Green Monster, the mascot for the Red Sox. Again, I have to emphasize, this is a death match.
This makes way more sense because Wally the Green Monster is the troll of the Green Monster, which, is legendary within baseball, not just the Red Sox organization themselves. Everyone knows what the Green Monster is.
Yep.
And you have a little troll that comes out from underneath the Green Monster, and he's going to beat your brains out for not paying the troll toll. So
he has to get into that boy's soul. Yep.
There we go.
Now, okay, so we got Wally advancing then. The Washington Nationals, they have a mascot named Screech, and they're facing off against the Colorado Rockies, who, are you familiar with who the Rockies mascot is?
No, I'm not.
It's Dinger the dinosaur.
Okay.
Because they found some supposed dinosaur bones while they were building the stadium. And so
again, just want to know how far away is an anthropomorphic dinosaur from a goddamn snake? Like that's
it's not that hard.
So angry about that.
Do you think that would make it acceptable, by the way, if for like the Cleveland Indians? They're like, no. That's why we named it, because when we were building the stadium, it was a whole like burial ground of Native American people.
I would, that would explain why they're terrible. I mean,
that's true.
So sure.
Yeah, I mean, Native American people, just the worst. I agree, Gabe. Thank you.
I would say, thank you. I would say, here's the thing: is if the Cleveland Indians brought out a descendant of the people who settled Cleveland and executed them in front of the crowd at each game as some sort of tribute to the land that was stolen, then that would make the Cleveland Indians okay.
Okay, I see. That could make it make sense. So in this matchup, though, between Dinger and Screech, who are we feeling like?
I mean, as much as I like that the Rockies mascot is a dinosaur, I've literally never seen or heard of him, and I feel disappointed in the advertising of that. And I know who Screech is.
I mean, not the Saved by the Bell character.
Not the Saved by the Bell character.
Just need to make sure.
Let's just say dinosaurs went extinct. Birds didn't.
I'm realizing that Mitch has this weird bias towards birds of some kind. He's,
especially in baseball.
Yeah.
They survived. First off, birds survived the KT extinction and became apex predators of the sky.
Well, I mean,
Just saying.
the only KT I care about are the KT Wiz. Thank you very much, sir. Now, in the next matchup, we have the Chicago Cubs versus the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we have Clark the Cub versus the Parrot Pirate or Parrot. Either way you want to pick it.
Okay, so I'm a real big bear. I just like bears in general.
This is a death match.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, a bear is going to eat a bird alive. But why the fuck is his name Clark?
So a dinosaur is going to lose to a fucking eagle here, but the pirate parrot is going to lose to a cub, a little itty bitty bear.
I mean, what can a parrot do? Talk shit about his name being Clark?
Yeah,
but that's all he can do. He's just going to sit there and be like, your name's Clark, bitch.
Thank you for doing the impression that all of us were considering. So for that and that alone,
something.
Yeah, I will advance Clark to the next round.
Okay.
Now we have Raymond, who is the mascot for the Tampa Bay Rays, against Paws, who is the mascot for the Detroit Tigers. We're running a little short on time, so we gotta blaze through these here. So what do you think would win? Big old stingray or a tiger named Paws?
A stingray killed Steve Irwin, so that's a no-brainer.
Well, okay, that works for me. What about you?
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, we have seen Steve Irwin win against a tiger before, so transitive property. Stingray would kill a tiger. Understandable.
That's exactly my logic. So
All right, now the Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels, the lower greater California area Angels. They don't have an official mascot, but the closest one that they have is one called a rally monkey, which is an actual monkey that they dress up in a tiny little uniform, and they bring him out whenever they need to rally, which is simultaneously adorable and some real Tiger King kind of shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like straight up animal cruelty.
Yep.
And the Brewers have Bernie, so
yeah. I mean, vote for Bernie, bitch, right? That's what we were told.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And look where it led us. Fucking Biden. Oh my God.
But guess what? This time we control our own destiny. So
now we a real classic matchup here at 12 versus 21. Of Mr. Met of the Mets versus the Philly Fanatic, which is whatever the fuck that thing is.
So here's the deal. Philly does an amazing job of marketing their mascots.
They do.
So, and the Philly Fanatic is the classic baseball mascot. And for me, he is just
I would say that it's the classic weird mascot.
And the father of the working class hero Gritty.
That's
Don't
true.
forget that.
Exactly. I mean,
and whatever would father Gritty would beat any other mascot.
And I feel like we were just wasting our time here because the Philly Fanatic is just really, how do you get any better than that?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Again, this is a death match factor. Now, we haven't been emphasizing that point this much, but believe me, when it gets down to the final four here,
you've been trying really hard to emphasize the death match. But
who would win in a fight to the death, and you're arguing morals and who's cooler. I understand.
I'm arguing who the relatable, recognizable character is, like I do in all stories that are told. So
I understand. You're going with the PG version of this tale. It's fine. Now, the last matchup of the first round, we have the TC Bear of the Minnesota Twins versus Slugger, who is the mascot for the Royals. And in the next round, they'll be facing off against the Fanatic, so I'm not sure it really cares, according to you. So just pick one. It
doesn't.
Are you going Bear again for some?
No, I'm taking the Slugger because that's classic baseball as well.
Okay, gotcha.
Not these Sluggers for the Royals, but Slugger. That's just a term I associate with baseball.
Yeah, go get him, Slugger. That makes sense. Now, matchup on the other side, we are through here. The Los Angeles Dodgers. They don't have an official mascot, but they did have one at the very beginning. And that mascot's name was Weary Willie. And he was a hobo. And it was a real man who was a circus clown. And we have hobo versus friar. It's a good matchup.
So
Hobo,
yeah.
hobo.
All day.
I'll give it the hobo.
day.
Even though the reason why he doesn't exist anymore is because the Dodgers got too much money, and they're like, well, we can't have a hobo.
No, that doesn't really work with our particular
Not as a-
motif.
Not as one of the top 5 most expensive franchises in the league. That just doesn't add up.
We didn't bulldoze this minority school just so that way then we could build a stadium and have our mascot be a homeless person. This is bullshit. We quarantine our homeless people into the middle of downtown like civilized folk.
Right. So out of respect, you got to take the hobo over the friar, even though he's fun and cheerful and drunk.
Honoring the true legacy here. So
right
now we have Billy the Marlin versus Lucille. A real battle in the sea is what's happening right here.
Yeah, Lucille's really tired from her first bird fight.
Knocking the blackface off of the cardinal.
So
I can't get over that. Were you there for that, by the way, Gabe? By any chance?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes, I heard that.
Fucking Fred Bird. Jesus. Anyway, I can't get over it.
Lucille had to pick up her walker one too many times. It just has no energy left for Billy.
Billy has harpooned Lucille. Poor girl that she is. Old gal. Now, then we have Stomper the Elephant versus Slider the whatever the fuck of the Cleveland Indians.
So obviously your coked out elephant is just,
he's either raging or he's crashing right now. That's the real moment.
Well, it only takes one bump for him to get back in the game.
Exactly. Exactly. It's the gift that never stops giving until you run out.
We'll see how much he has in supply right now.
Well, we all know it never runs out in Miami. So
very, very nice. So then last matchup on this side, we have Ace versus Orbit. So the Blue Jays mascot versus the Astros mascot.
Yeah, Orbit's sending that little bird into the atmosphere. So
again, I just like the idea of Orbit, Mr. Manhattaning someone. Just birds included. Why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
Now, on the other side, the Yankees also don't have an official mascot. They had one, though, way back in the day. And it was a mascot called Dandy. And it's almost like a proto-Philly fanatic for people who haven't seen it before. And it's something I encourage everyone, listening at home or whatever, to just get in your head here, because I really want people to think about, what if I search the phrase Dandy Yankee? It's going to refer me to a Daddy Yankee song instead.
Right.
And it really doesn't do justice, because this creature it looks like anti-Irish propaganda is really what it is. It has long red hair, a red mustache, and a pear-shaped body with the pinstripes running through it.
What I'm hearing it's the Philly Fanatic's cousin that had a family and settled down.
That's right. He really just decided, oh man, what is the point here?
The question is, can he afford the troll toll?
Yeah, because he is going up against Wally, and I'm not sure exactly how that's going to fare for him in this classic matchup of Yankees versus Red Sox.
Well, here's the deal. Wally the troll has that Boston anger. He is just, he is waiting to rage out on Dandy Yankee.
Yeah, that's true.
As any rightful Boston troll would be. So I just don't know if Dandy Yankee, who goes to his 9 to 5 every day and supports his wife and kids, has the energy for the Boston troll.
And I think that makes sense. I would agree. Although in my scenario, Wally, being the working class tough that he is from Beantown, from maybe one of the few Irish suburbs that exist in Boston, seeing Dandy coming out there and just getting filled with rage entirely all the way through against this
Absolutely.
New Yorker. So now moving on to the next bracket point we have of Screech the Eagle for the Washington Nationals versus Clark the Cub. So, Screech has obviously killed before, slayed and filleted a dinosaur.
Yeah,
so
Clark is a little insecure after all the shit talking from the parrot. He had a good dinner, but
It's emotionally damaged to the
He's
point.
emotionally damaged, and he's just not ready to have his eyes gouged out by Screech.
No,
He's just defenseless. Like
sad.
You took down his emotional barriers with the parrot, and he's got a full stomach, and he's just like a little uncertain about himself. And the Eagle's hungry.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Yeah, it's real sad, real unfortunate. Now the next matchup, we have Raymond the Ray of the Tampa Bay Rays versus Bernie the Brewer of the Brewers. So is Raymond or Bernie gonna win?
I mean, the Rays just have killer blood. Ice in their veins.
Yeah.
And remember, at one point in time, the Rays were the Devil Rays.
No, that is true. That is true.
So they have some witchcraft behind them as well.
Can they kill again, or are they like honeybees, where like if they sting once, then they're like, well, that's it, toodaloo.
Yeah,
ta-ta.
I don't know of their barbs producing like any kind of one-time venom of any sort.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the Rays are well prepared to like just take out the old man Bernie. And
yeah, the way I'm envisioning it is that the Ray is obviously hanging out in the water, right? Bernie the Brewer hops in to the water, and the Ray and Bernie are facing off. But because Bernie is a brewer and an alcoholic by proxy, he then, in a moment of weakness, decides to get lightheaded, and he falls into the water face first, and then he dies.
It's a very hold my beer moment.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go kill this Ray.
Man, it is bad, but hey, whatever gets into the next round, right?
Very true.
So then,
very true.
Bottom of the bracket in what's clearly just a dominant fashion here, we have the Philly Fanatic versus the Slugger from the Royals. I think we're all in agreement here. Fanatic moves on, right?
Yeah. I mean, he toots his little air horn nose, and the Slugger is just in confusion and doesn't stand a chance.
Call itself a Genesis song, because this is a land of confusion. So the next matchup we have, as we are now into our Elite Eight, we have Weary Willie, the hobo propaganda, versus Billy the Marlin, nightclub DJ. What are we feeling here?
Man, so this is the fight of the century. And the question boils down to is how high is Billy?
I know. Has Billy been hanging out with Stomper? That's the real question.
If Billy has been hanging out with Stomper, then he is on the right drugs and he is ready to fight. But if Billy go ahead.
But Billy is no longer hanging. This is the end of the night. He's left Stomper's place. He's coming down. And let's be honest, DJs are giant pussies. They often need security to keep fans and hobos away from them. They look down and away anytime somebody asks them for money on the street. I'm telling you, the hobo comes in and shanks that motherfucker.
Absolutely.
And it's over.
Billy is ready to go home with some like poor underage girl
that
definitely doesn't know any better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Billy, Chris D'Elia of Marlin.
Yeah, Weary Willie is ready to whoop some ass. He's got nothing else going on.
Do you think like his motto could be like, "I'm tired of your shit"? Because he's Weary Willie. Yeah,
that's absolutely his motto.
All right, I like this. I like this. Now, on the other side here, just a clash of the Titans in the sense of Stomper versus Orbit. Just what are we thinking here? Can the Cinderella moment continue on?
For who?
Well, I mean, technically speaking, it's for neither one because they're both high seeds.
I was going to say. I mean, I feel like Orbit just has some very unique, like,
godlike powers.
Exactly. His name is Orbit for a reason.
It's difficult to defeat an omnipotent being.
Right. What's a coked up elephant to someone that can manipulate gravity?
Yeah. That's true. I mean, Stomper, just I can imagine he is again run out of steam. Billy left him. His mind just wasn't in the right place after all.
This is just what happens when you do too many drugs, kids.
Yeah. He's whimpering, crying.
Stomper has made it through his second 8 ball of the night, and his dealer's no longer answering his texts. So he's all done, man.
And as an elephant, that is just not enough.
No, you gotta focus on just something, anything else here. So on the other side, we have Wally the Green Monster versus Screech the Eagle. How are we feeling? The final bird left standing, holding it down.
I know you were like talking all this shit to me about these birds, man, but I really love the Green Monster troll. like there's just something about a troll, an angry Boston troll that I'm just
he's angry, he's Irish, he's drunk.
Yes.
So he can't feel any of the punches or the scratches of the eagle's talon.
And there's nothing worse to an angry drunk than a loud ass bird.
Oh God, yeah. That's slightly hungover Wally the Green Monster versus Screech.
He's definitely hungover after whooping Dandy's little ass. He had to celebrate. And so now he's super pissed about this fucking bird that won't shut the fuck up.
It's almost game over here. All right. So then now we have Raymond the Ray, Cool Raymond, who is just silently he's killed one adorable tiger named Paws, and then he's watched a man drown to death in front of him. And he is going up against the Philly fanatic.
That's the thing about a fanatic is not going to sit there and play your game. You have to play their game. And there's just no way that the cold-blooded Ray is ready to play the fanatic's mind games.
It's true. Those Kanye verses, about what's a king to a god?
Exactly.
What's a god to an unbeliever? That's just the montage that takes place.
The Ray is nothing in the fanatic stratosphere.
All right. Well, we have our final four established out then. So bouncing back, we have Willie, the hobo, Weary Willie, versus Orbit, mascot for the Houston Astros. Just a real style of grit.
Here's
versus...
what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say. You're never gonna find a hobo in space. That nullifies a lot of Orbit's powers.
But are you gonna find a hobo at a fight after he's gotten a few dollars? And he can afford some 40s at the gas station now. He's had some bystanders. He's put on his show, and he's up against this weird ass fucking. He doesn't even know why he's here. He's not getting paid enough to be here right now.
He took some of Billy the Marlin's drugs, and now he's seeing Orbit descend from the sky, wondering what the fuck is about to happen to him. Yeah.
Fine. I mean, I'm just saying, no gods, no masters. I think the hobo would take it, but I think we're at an impasse between me and Mitch.
I'm sorry. I also, and again, maybe this is the homerism in me, I have to go Orbit here. In this case, just again, as we've previously established in this canon here, Orbit's Dr. Manhattan powers. I
would almost want to secede to Gabe here, though, because if I'm dying on any hill, it's the fanatic hill. So I am willing to yield this one and let the homeless man peruse his way into a victory.
No, it's all right.
It's okay. It's okay. Willie advances.
No, you chose the objectivity. Oh, fine. That's fine.
Willie, Weary Willie is the guy who is going to advance into the finals. Wow, just really riding that wave here. And now I think we have a classic example of where the semis probably are just a bigger smashing job.
I know.
Anything
else.
It's
just too early. It's what you want to see in the finals, but and it happens so soon.
In semis, we have Wally the Green Monster of the Red Sox versus the Philly Fanatic.
And Wally has seen so much red at this point. He has just been so angry and just beating and
It really
just
is a style, because I'm picturing Wally is coming at this from this place of anger, right? This place of negativity.
He is.
And
Of
the
course
Philly
he is.
fanatic, he reminds me of someone where like he's doing this for the love of the game. Like there's a joy behind
he's
the
cool,
Philly
calm,
fanatic.
and collected.
Yeah,
This is exactly where he wants to be. This is his game. Like he totally understands why Wally is so upset about life in general, and he is like prepared to cater to Wally if need be, and that's how he beats Wally.
I understand.
He understands him. You know?
I see. Gabe, what have you got to say on this?
Philly fanatic. It's just there's no the father of gritty.
That's true.
You have to imagine a being such as the fanatic fathering Gritty, all the shit he had to deal with while Gritty was going through his teens. He took a few punches.
What's the deal, by the way, when like the Eagles and the 76ers don't have any insane mascots of their own? Like, come on now.
Yet, my friend.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right.
Well, I would say the Eagles are insane on their own. They don't really need a mascot.
Yeah, they don't need someone to drum them up anymore as they're throwing batteries.
They do a great job of doing that on their own.
God. Oh God. Okay, so this is the final that no one has asked for, but it's what we have decided here. The MLB Mascot Deathmatch Championship is going to be between the Philly Fanatic and Weary Willie of the Dodgers.
And I mean,
I'm gonna have Willie is weary. I'm telling you, it's been a long slog making it to the finals. I don't think he's got the energy to beat the Fanatic. I do think he could beat the Fanatic if anybody could, but
maybe
he's weary.
I mean, you don't father a revolutionary icon without just being prepared to go the distance.
Yeah, just ask Kamala Harris's dad just how hard it is to have a child who stays a revolutionary.
Exactly. That's all done. That is the Fanatic on top.
Yeah. I mean, in just true dominating fashion, the idea that then they just beat the shit.
Your children may disappoint you, but you'll never disappoint yourself,
Yeah. Man. Well, this has been a hell of an episode, I think. God knows no one is probably listening still at this point, but I'm going to be saving this bracket and I'm going to be distributing it places because this is real work that we put in. And so I guess that means that the team then that we're going to be following would be the Philadelphia Phillies with the Fanatic. Is that logic then?
Do we have to follow them so much as that we just think they have the best mascot?
I mean, that's true. Let's not sign ourselves away to any devil's bargain yet.
Let's not like tempt ourselves into watching more baseball than we have to here.
That's right. There's only so much. There are only so many minutes in the day. God.
I mean, you have to think about it. If they're playing 60 games in 66 days, like that is going to be all day baseball. The games are going to start at like 12 Central and go until
earlier. Yeah.
And the last game is going to start at 9 p.m. Central, and it's just going to be full 12 hours of baseball.
Just pure madness, I think, is going to be the thing to expect from all of this. But moving forward, then moving into what's important, where can people find y'all? What's happening in y'all's worlds, Mitch and Gabe?
Well, I've gotten substantially worse at Twitter somehow. So that's where I was trying to build it up to where maybe you can follow me on Twitter. I've just gotten worse. So go back to just not worrying about my life. Like there's nothing I have to contribute to yours.
Live and let live, I think, is a good philosophy to be having right now for it. So very cool.
You can find me back on Twitter under a different account. I am now, and this is actually true, if you need some unsound medical advice, I am officially a doctor, and you can find me under Dr. Goldtooth on Twitter.
That's right. And the second you accept my follow request, I think we'll be fine, sir.
I already did that.
No,
look, man, I had achievements to achieve this week, so I've not been on Twitter.
Yes,
Man,
well,
so I'm actually ahead of Gabe. I've been on Twitter this week. For once.
That's right. What's it like, Mitch, to be the second most incredibly online person on this podcast?
It makes me wonder how I can actually get a job where I'm not on the internet all day.
Oh yeah, God, that's almost the dream, but also the nightmare. Is
exactly, because I would rather collect an easy paycheck than like sell my soul. So
wouldn't we all, man? Wouldn't we all?
I know.
Well, you know, it's gonna go ahead and do it. You can find me on Twitter at Culture Truther. As always, go ahead and be sure and check out the Psychic Dolphin Garage podcast. For me, check out Gabe's podcast, Does It Slap? Also, you know, just keep tuning in. We're gonna keep doing this every week. Once actual sports that we are a little bit more familiar with start to pop up into the mainstream, we will be pushing, we will be succeeding at the idea of refocusing back on fantasy. But until then, we will have to just hope for better times. Remember the good times, right? That's all
Absolutely.
we got left to do. So anyways, y'all, it's been real. It's been fun. It has been real fun. We will talk to you later. Say goodbye.